Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah. Okay, so today we've got something really special for you. We're diving into an explainer of a totally classic story, but there's a twist. It's designed specifically to help you learn and practice your English.
Yeah, exactly. We're using a brilliantly summarized adaptation from English Unleashed. It's short, it's punchy, and it is honestly the perfect way to build up your fluency. So let's just jump right into this crazy tale of pirates, gold, and danger. Treasure Island.
All right, picture this. A long time ago, in this super quiet village, literally right by the sea, there was this cozy little inn called the Admiral Benbow.
And real quick, as we go through this story, keep an ear out for those descriptive words. They're going to be completely crucial for our English practice later on.
Right. So, living at this peaceful inn is a young boy named Jim Hawkins. And his life was, well, it was pretty basic. Only a few travelers passing through, nothing really exciting ever happened. But oh man, that was all about to change.
Yeah, everything gets turned upside down when this old sailor shows up. His name? Billy Bones. He was tall, super strong, and just looked totally rough. He had this deep, nasty scar right across his face. He didn't say much, but he constantly seemed nervous.
Oh, for sure. He was absolutely hiding from someone. I mean, he literally paid Jim a silver coin every single month just to keep an eye out for a sailor with one leg. Talk about paranoid, right?
So the tension is just through the roof at this point. One day, this blind man named Pew shows up at the inn. And honestly, he was even scarier than Billy. Pew hands Billy something absolutely terrifying, the black spot. If you don't know, this is basically the ultimate pirate sign of danger and death.
The reaction was instant. Billy turned incredibly pale. He looked just completely terrified. And then, a few minutes later, he just collapses. And he dies. His heart literally gave out right then and there from the sheer shock of it all.
Now, Billy's sudden end? That was just the starting line for young Jim. He and his mom open up Billy's small box and they find something massive, a map. And not just any map, but a literal treasure map showing exactly where the legendary pirate Captain Flint had hidden his gold.
Can you imagine? So Jim takes his map straight to a kind doctor named Dr. Livesey and this rich landowner, Squire Trelawney. And together, they start hatching a plan for this grand, crazy sea voyage to track down the treasure.
To actually cross the ocean, they hire this gorgeous ship, the Hispaniola. But the crew they put together? Definitely a mixed bag. First off, you've got Captain Smollett. He's incredibly strict, but he's fair and honest.
Then you have Long John Silver. He gets hired on as the ship's cook. He only had one leg and got around on a wooden crutch. And he just seemed so friendly, always smiling, telling all these funny sea stories, helping everybody out.
Well, appearances can be deceiving, right? Because there was a massive, dangerous secret brewing below deck.
One day, Jim is literally hiding inside an apple barrel on the ship, and he overhears Long John Silver talking to the other men. Jim discovers this terrifying mutiny plot. Turns out these guys are actually dangerous pirates.
Pieces of aid, pieces of aid. That phrase was just constantly squawked out by Long John Silver's green parrot. It's almost the perfect symbol for the whole pirate deception happening right under the honest men's noses.
Seriously? The dangerous crew had this whole secret plan to just wait until the honest men found the treasure, and then boom, they were going to take over the ship and keep all that gold for themselves. Jim was obviously terrified, but he was so brave. He actually snuck away to warn Captain Smollett and the honest crew so they could brace themselves.
So after days at sea, they finally hit land, Treasure Island. It's this wild, green, quiet place just packed with hills and rocks and secret caves. As soon as they make land, Jim actually walked off into the forest all by himself.
Which is wild. And that is exactly where he runs into this incredibly strange guy named Ben Gunn. So Ben is a former pirate. And get this, he had been left totally alone on this island for 3 years. But Ben had a massive secret of his own. He had already found Captain Flint's treasure and moved it safely into a hidden cave.
All right, so this sets up an absolutely wild finale. On one side, you have the honest men who hole up in this old wooden house to stay safe, and they're bravely fighting back against the pirates who are attacking them with guns and swords.
Right. And meanwhile, the greedy pirates finally get their hands on the map, and they're just digging furiously at the X, only to find absolutely nothing. The treasure's gone. They've been completely tricked, having no idea Ben Gunn had already moved the whole stash.
And amidst all this chaos, Jim pulls off something incredibly brave. He finds this tiny little boat, sneaks all the way back to the Hispaniola, fights off a pirate who was left on board, and actually sails the ship far away to secure it from the greedy crew. In the end, the loyal men win the day, and they safely load all that real, hidden treasure right onto their ship.
So as the ship finally sails back home to England, we really get to see Jim's incredible transformation. I mean, he started out as just this young, naive boy at a quiet little inn.
But by the end of this crazy adventure, he's a brave young man. He faced down danger and pure greed, but he also learned a ton about bravery, friendship, and who to trust. He definitely wasn't just a kid anymore. He'd truly grown up.
It's just such a fantastic story, isn't it? So let's take all these cool moments we just talked about and smoothly roll right into our English learning review so you can actually start using some of these great descriptive words in your own life. Section 1. English Vocabulary Review. Practice what you heard. Let's get right into it.
Okay, our first phrase is by the sea. This one is super simple. It just means near the ocean or right next to the coast.
All right, here is your clear example to practice. I want you to listen and then actually repeat this out loud. They built a small cottage by the sea.
Perfect. Let's try one more quick one for you to repeat. They lived by the sea. Awesome job. Moving right along to our next word, inn. So an inn is essentially a small hotel. They're usually quiet, older, and super cozy. It's exactly the kind of place where Jim Hawkins lived at the start of our story.
But the great thing is we use this in modern conversational English all the time. Listen to this and shadow the example. We stayed at a little inn during our road trip.
Nice. Now let's try a shorter one. Repeat out loud after me. Let's rest at an inn. Great job. Okay, next up, let's look at the word rough. When we say someone looks rough, it means they look tough or wild. They definitely aren't neat or clean. Remember Billy Bones? He had that messy hair and those old, worn-out clothes.
All right, here's your phrase to shadow. Ready? Repeat after me. He looked rough and scary.
Good. Now let's try this one. That man has a rough voice. You're doing great. Our fourth word today is scar. A scar is simply a mark left on the skin after a cut or some kind of injury heals. Just like Billy Bones had that deep one right across his face.
Let's practice speaking this one for fluency. Repeat this phrase out loud. He has a scar on his face.
And let's try one more to shadow. She has a small scar on her knee.
Spot on.
Up next, we've got the word nervous. This basically means feeling worried or just afraid that something bad might happen. It's that exact feeling you get right before you take a massive test or maybe when you're speaking in front of a big crowd. Let's practice shadowing this sentence. Jim looked nervous.
Awesome. And now repeat this one. She felt nervous before the test.
Excellent work.
All right, now for the word pale. If someone goes pale, their skin looks extremely white, and it usually happens from fear or being sick. Think back to exactly how Billy Bones looked when Pew handed him the black spot. It was literally shocking bad news.
Let's shadow this phrase together. He looked pale. Try this slightly longer one now. She went pale when she heard the bad news. Great job picking up on that emotional context.
Moving on, our next word is collapse. To collapse means to fall down suddenly. This could be from intense fear, pain, or just being completely exhausted.
Let's repeat our example out loud. Ready? He collapsed on the floor.
Nice. Let's say it one more time together. He collapsed on the floor. Very good.
Okay, now let's look at a highly pirate-themed phrase. Take over the ship. This just means to take control of a ship, usually by force. It ties directly back to that crazy mutiny plot where the pirates wanted to steal the treasure for themselves.
Time to shadow. Repeat this sentence. The pirates tried to take over the ship.
Fantastic! You're honestly sounding more natural already. All right, our final action phrase for today is walked off. To walk off just means to leave a place, and usually you do it quietly or without saying a word. Just picture Jim stepping quietly into the forest all by himself as your mental anchor.
Let's get some practice in. Repeat after me. Jim walked off into the forest. And try this one. He didn't answer, he just walked off. Beautifully done.
And you know, this whole thing just beautifully illustrates how we can use a genuinely gripping story to conquer a totally new language.
Absolutely. Because the real treasure isn't some chest of gold hidden on an island. It's the fluency you're building every single day. So, which of these new English words will you be brave enough to actually use in a conversation today?
Seriously, try dropping nervous, pale or rough into a sentence today. Keep practicing, keep shadowing, and we will definitely see you next time. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye for now from The Explainer.